Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating science of reading human behavior. We're going to explore how to decode all those subtle, unspoken signals people send every single day, and then use that knowledge to build deeper empathy, unshakable trust, and real, genuine connection. Let's get right to it. Imagine walking into a crowded room and instantly sensing who's hiding pain, who's genuinely confident, and who's just wearing a carefully crafted mask. Pretty wild, right? But what if you could decode human behavior not through some kind of magic trick, but through hard science? See, every blink, every shift in weight, every slight pause, it all tells a story. And once you learn how to read it, human interaction completely stops being a guessing game. Here's the thing. Long before a person utters a single word, their posture, their gestures, and their movements have already broadcasted a massive amount of information. Human beings evolved to communicate with gestures way before spoken language even existed. And today, over 60% of our communication remains completely nonverbal. Think about that. If you're only listening to the words coming out of someone's mouth, you are literally missing more than half the conversation.
Section 1. Decoding surface signals, the body, face, and voice.
Okay, so to accurately read anyone, you first have to figure out their baseline. Now, a baseline is simply a person's natural behavior when they're perfectly calm and comfortable. Like, are they naturally fidgety? Do they usually speak really loudly? You have to know they're normal, because any sudden deviation from that baseline, maybe rapid blinking, crossing their arms out of nowhere, or a sudden drop in their volume, indicates a shift in their internal emotional state. Now, it doesn't automatically mean they're lying, but it absolutely means something has changed.
Dr. Paul Ekman's research into microexpressions is just brilliant at showing how true emotions completely bypass our conscious control. These are fleeting, split-second flashes of real emotion that dart across the face, often before the person even realizes they're feeling anything. And the wild part? These 7 expressions are universal across all human cultures. A genuine smile, for instance, will always crinkle the corners of the eyes into crow's feet, whereas a fake smile, well, that only moves the lips. Oh, and a quick one-sided raise of the mouth? That's contempt. That is a massive red flag for hidden disdain. Moving on to the voice, you don't just hear words, right? You hear the emotional flavor behind them, which is known as paralanguage. So as an example, a sudden rise in pitch often signals stress or anxiety because the vocal cords literally physically tighten up under pressure. But on the flip side, a perfectly timed pause, that conveys absolute confidence. And if someone's speaking pace suddenly speeds way up and gets filled with all these unnecessary details, they might just be trying to convince you of a total fabrication. Section 2. Reading context and patterns beyond isolated signals.
Read the room before the person. This is a crucial reminder that human behavior is incredibly fluid. It's highly reactive to the environment, power dynamics, and the overall emotional temperature of the space. Think about it. If you see a room full of stiff, quiet employees, it might not be a room full of naturally anxious people. It might just be that the CEO just walked in. You really have to understand the context of a situation to avoid misinterpreting stress behaviors as personality flaws. Beyond the room, you also need to read the underlying personality. The Big 5 model is fantastic for this. By understanding these core personality blueprints, like knowing if someone is high in conscientiousness and loves a strict plan, or maybe they're low in agreeableness and prefer blunt confrontation, you stop reacting to their temporary moods. Instead, you begin to understand if they are naturally reflective and quiet or socially energetic, if they're highly open to abstract ideas or grounded in concrete facts. Instead of just guessing, you actually start predicting their deeply wired behavioral patterns. You figure out what drives them, how they handle conflict, and what they really need to feel secure.
Now, please remember this. No single gesture means anything in isolation. Seriously, if someone crosses their arms, they might just be freezing cold. You have to look for clusters. Just like a musical chord is made up of several individual notes, a behavioral message is made of several aligned signals. So, if a person crosses their arms and leans away and avoids eye contact, well, that cluster confidently decodes as discomfort or defensiveness.
Section 3. Spotting lies and manipulators.
Lying is incredibly hard work for the brain. The brain really struggles to multitask when lying because it has to invent a false story, suppress the real truth, monitor its own body language, and gauge your reaction, all at the exact same time.
This immense cognitive load causes involuntary physical slips, which we call leaks. You might hear vocal cracks, or you might notice someone suddenly go unnaturally still, simply because they are terrified of gesturing incorrectly.
When we're trying to spot deception, looking at truthful versus deceptive behavior perfectly captures the power of observing incongruence. Truthful behavior is fluid. It's immediate because it relies on real memory. But look at the deceptive side. The words spoken simply do not match the timing or the body's natural physical rhythm. A liar might stall by repeating your question, or restrict their hand movements, or use distancing language. For example, saying, "The item wasn't taken," instead of taking personal ownership with a direct "I" statement.
And then, of course, there are manipulators. They absolutely thrive on inconsistency, guilt tripping, and a very toxic tactic called gaslighting, where they tell you things like, "You're just imagining things," or "I literally never said that." But here is your armor against that. The more you trust your own emotional reality and your baseline observations, the less power they have over you. When you can read the room and truly trust your gut, their illusions just completely fall apart. Section 4. Emotional intelligence and intuition. Have you ever met someone who said all the right things, but your stomach just inexplicably tightened up? When your gut tightens because a person's smile doesn't quite reach their eyes, that isn't magic. That's your intuition quietly alerting you to an emotional mismatch. Intuition is really just expert pattern recognition that happens so fast your conscious brain can't keep up. It's like your biological second brain processing thousands of microcues and screaming out, "Hey, something here is incongruent." People don't want to be fixed, they want to be felt. The crucial point here is that reading people is not about treating them like puzzles to be solved or patients to be diagnosed. It's about empathy. When you notice a shift in someone's baseline, it's about holding space, mirroring their vulnerability, and showing them that they are truly seen. That kind of non-judgmental awareness is what builds profound, lasting trust. Section 5. The art of calibration, adjusting your approach. Calibration is the difference between just being observant and being highly effective. By following these steps, you dynamically adjust your approach based on the cues you read. Think about it. If you come in loud and fast, and you notice their baseline shift into a defensive cluster, you calibrate. You lower your intensity to meet theirs. You use silence to let them breathe. You basically adjust in real time, ensuring that you de-escalate tension and build profound safety. Master readers don't use these skills to just control or dominate a boardroom. No way. The ultimate goal of reading people is empathetic connection, not cynical manipulation. When you combine razor-sharp perception with deep, genuine compassion, you become a mirror for others rather than a mask. You become the rare kind of person who hears the pause behind the words and sees the truth beneath the performance. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you ready to stop judging behavior and start actually understanding it? Mastering the silent language of humanity transforms you into someone who doesn't just listen, but truly sees the truth beneath the surface. So, the very next time you walk into a room, what hidden stories will you uncover? Keep observing, keep connecting, and I'll see you next time.